inspired by goddess energy to quote-unquote do the video. HOEROS, gamma gamos, motion alchemy, social psych, wickedry, thaumaturgy, seance, spiritual architecture, spiritual engineering, go viral, go vital. And as is, was, where is, and always will be, was having a possible fictional history pass through the sky of my portion of mind's regulation headquarters, that the reason Gilgamesh is depicted having carried a pet lion in the crook of the arm of his 17-foot tall body was this: for thousands upon thousands of years, Enkidu was not just a best friend the creator deities set him with. He was a genetically superior construct that could assume most any form a chimera could shift into becoming. And they would get into not just epic wrestling matches, they would get into such monumentous bouts in channels of strength through the cosmic will, where repeatedly Enkidu would kick his ass so thoroughly that he, Gilgamesh, would be forced through a reboot by one of the 7 birthing goddesses that had worked alongside Enki in the propagation of the Homo sapien species genetic expressions at the time, again and again, repeatedly, every some odd 100 years or so for thousands upon thousands of years. So his manipulated ego came up with a temporary solution to patch his ephemeral psychological wound by eventually carrying a king of the wildebeests as a pet in a show of delusion as to his dominance above the natural world and its inherent animal populace, because he could not, no matter how hard he tried, prove himself throughout any untangle to be above and or beyond the supernatural his creators set him up with to assert and maintain their control over the created influx of their influence on and within the planet we are currently honored to be caretaking and or pillaging. Ancient HOEROS gamos methodology. The HOEROS gamos, translating to sacred marriage in Greek, refers to ritualistic unions between deities and is integral to various ancient cultures, particularly in the context of fertility and divine authority. This practice serves both symbolic and practical purposes and can be analyzed through several cultural lenses. Origins and context. The concept is rooted in ancient Near Eastern traditions and is especially prominent in Sumerian and Greek mythology. Symbolizes the union of divine forces that promote fertility and sustain life, representing the interplay of opposites, such as male and female, earth and sky. Sumerian practices. In ancient Sumer, the HOEROS gamos typically involved the high priestess of Inanna, the goddess of love and fertility, engaging in ritualized union with a king, who represented their consort Dumuzi. This was believed to legitimate the king's authority and ensure agricultural prosperity. Annual ritual. This sacred marriage took place during significant seasonal festivals like the Duku ceremony, occurring in the spring, celebrating the renewal of life. Symbolic representations. Calm the loudness of that. Symbolic representations, the ritual did not always necessitate literal sexual intercourse, but could also be conducted symbolically, representing divine interactions. Greek adaptations. In Greek mythology, examples include the marriage of Zeus and Hera. These rituals often mirror the Sumerian practices, maintaining the elements of legitimacy and fertility, possibly what goes on in the Thelema engagements to date. Anthesteria festival, one noteworthy event where the Archon Basilius king would enact a sacred marriage with Dionysus, symbolizing the fertility and rebirth derived from the union. Dramatic expression. Unlike earlier practices focused on literal fertility, Greek rituals began to encapsulate broader themes of divine favor and renewal. Ritual implications and symbolisms. The HOEROS gamos served multiple layers of meaning. Fertility. At its core, it was believed that the union between divine couple promoted fertility in crops and livestock. Political legitimacy. Through the king's union, rulers were often seen as divinely appointed, enhancing their authority and connection to the divine realm. Symbol of duality. It reinforced the idea that harmony between opposites is essential for balance in nature and society. The significance of HOEROS gamos has evolved, influencing various spiritual and psychological interpretations, linking back to concepts inner balance between masculine and feminine energies in modern practices. This ancient methodology, mixing cultural, religious, political elements, illustrates how society historically understood and navigated the interconnectedness of life, authority, and fertility through divine narratives. Comparative analysis, aspects, Sumerian practices, Greek adaptations, primary deities, Inanna, and Dumuzi, Zeus, and Hera. Purpose, legitimized kingship, ensuring fertility, celebrating divine order and legitimacy. Divine format often involved sexual interplay, could be symbolic or literal. Seasonal timing, spring festivals like Duku, annual events such as Anthesteria at Ancient Astronaut Archive. And there you go.